Okay, so this is Geranium macrorhizome, big root geranium. It's got a nice lemony smell. Actually, most geraniums have a scent like that. Anyway, this is something that's really easy to divide, I have found, because it's kind of loose. So I'm not going to use any tools. I'm just going to go underneath. You see how it's formed like a little bit of a mat? Like I'm lifting the whole thing up. So all I'm going to do is pull. So I have this nice little thump. There's a lot of, just debris, really, it feels like. But this is a nice healthy root. So basically all I would do, and you can see here, there's the fleshy part. It's like, it's not really a tuber. I don't know if it's a rhizome. I don't know the proper scientific name, but you can see that it's fleshy and there's roots attached to it. And what I could do is either chop this up into smaller pieces. I probably won't though. Unless I needed, I can only make a hole this big. I don't want to dig this big of a hole. Okay, I'm gonna cut that. It'll grow more roots. And then I'm gonna prepare a site in the ground, and I'm gonna stick it in there, firm it in just like I did with the hosta, and water it and mulch it and think good thoughts for it until the spring. The other thing, you might also want to put this in a pot if you want to try to grow it along in the pot. Let's say it's earlier in the season and you aren't going to plant it until later in the season. Let's say maybe you've divided this in spring. And for geraniums, I think really you can do it anytime. I wouldn't do it when it's blooming, because you'll definitely lose the blooms. And it's a lot of stress to put it under when it's blooming. But I would say, it's your garden, it's up to you. If you really want to divide that in spring, go right ahead. Just provide it a little more shade. Early in the spring is probably better than, when it's actually blooming. I'm not sure when this blooms, maybe summer?
June,
summer?
June, and then into a little bit of July.
Yeah. So, if I dug this up in April, there's time. There's time for it to get settled and dig it up. But let's say that, you've dug it up in April and you know that you're not going to be planting the new section of your garden until September. So what do you do until then? This is a great time to put it in a pot. So I would get a big enough pot to accommodate the roots.
Or cut some of the roots.
Cut some of the roots more. And
how much could you cut and still be reasonable?
Geez. Here's where you might want to do a couple of experiments, right? So let's say I'm going to take these two pieces. I'm going to
bring it up close so we can see.
I'm going to take these two pieces. And for this one, here, you hold that one. For this one, I'm going to cut off more. No, I'm going to leave this one as is. I'm going to stick it in a pot just like this. It's going to be maybe a gallon-sized pot, enough to have this all the way covered up, to about here.
So you would put this underground as well?
Yeah, that's okay, because it'll keep coming. And sometimes they don't make it. That's okay too. Or what I might even do is just take that off and put it like this, and then see what happens. So this one's going to go in pot. I'm not going to trim any roots. I'm not going to do anything. This one, well, I don't have a pot that size, so I really want to make this shorter. I'm going to cut it there. Here's the fleshy part. Some more roots are going to grow. You might also want to clean this up. These strings, I guess.
They were the old stems of the leaves from previous years.
That's old stuff. So you can clean that up if you want. I don't get super picky about that. If I'm giving it to somebody else, I probably would do that. But if it's going back in my garden, not a problem.
But certainly taking off anything that's already dead is generally good practice as like plant hygiene.
Yeah, and it's it's less opportunity for stuff to rot on you. So we've cleaned this up pretty well. We've washed them. We've triple washed everything. And if you have more questions about the triple washing, feel free to go ahead and ask at the end. And I'm gonna take a pot. This one, I don't know, maybe a 6-inch pot. It doesn't, you know, just whatever you have that fits. You don't want to put it in too big of a pot, but you don't want it to be too small. And then I'm just gonna stick it in the soil and keep watering it. And then, you know, come September, when I want to plant this in the new section of my garden, it should have developed some healthy new roots to help it along for the next season. Are there any questions?